I think now's the time we got to look ahead to the current Jets and what they got going on. The Jets have had a COVID outbreak. To put it very mildly, they have had a COVID outbreak. Yeah, to say the least. 21 members of the Jets are currently dealing with COVID, and that includes head coach Robert Saleh. I will go ahead and run down the list real quick for everybody because it is quite a doozy. Lead it off. We have Michael Carter II, Elijah Moore, who is on IR, but still on the COVID list as well. Elijah Vera Tucker, Foley Fatukasi, John Franklin Myers, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, Justin Hardy, Hamza Nasruddin, Sherrod Niesman, Jeff Smith, Blake Cashman, Noah Dawkins, Lamar Jackson, Hamaclear Rashed, Tanzel Smart, Ashton Davis, Joe Flacco, Jonathan Marshall, and Kenny Yeboah, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Like, I'll let you rest for a sec and catch your breath while I go through the Jaguars COVID list. Nobody. Okay, great.
Yeah, end of list. Okay, yeah, back to end of list. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so this is interesting. This is going to be a really, really interesting game. Right now, the tight end coach, Ron Middleton, is acting as the active head coach at a press conference yesterday where he seemed very calm, to be quite honest, seemed very in control. He's a guy with plenty of NFL experience, said he's not trying to reinvent the wheel. He's just trying to steer the ship, that, you know, this is not a situation where it's an interim head coach because a coach gets fired or something like that, that this is still Robert Saleh's team and he's just going to do what he can to lead the team. And as long as everyone does what they can for the team, they should be okay. So I'm not too worried about that. Saleh is still involved in all the meetings virtually. He's been running all of them virtually. So it's not that his presence is not there. But in general, there's problems. There's a bunch of problems with players. Jeff Ulbrich said today they don't know who their starting safeties are. And that's worrying.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. That's a little bit of a problem. To be completely honest, the way the Jets starting safeties have been playing lately, maybe that's a good thing. But that is not a good thing in general, just not knowing who starting members of your defense are going to be 3 days before the game. What can the Jets do?
The entire year, though.
Yeah.
At any given week, we're like, who the hell's playing safety?
Yeah. And, you know, that's, like I said, that's a fair point. So maybe this is something that the Jets might have a little more comfortability in doing than they have before, because they've been playing next man up for most of the season. This is interesting. I really am not quite sure, quite honestly, what to say to break this game down, because so many guys are going to be playing backup roles. So many players are going to be playing that don't normally play. You know, as of right now, the NFL is not postponing this game, but it certainly seems like if tomorrow things just completely fall apart, that could happen. It seems unlikely, but this is rough. This is rough. I don't really know what else to say other than that. This is a doozy.
This is, oh my God. I don't know how what's going through Zach Wilson's head right now. He's missing Moore. He's missing Davis. He's going to be missing Crowder, maybe, but not because of COVID, but just because he's hurt.
Yeah, on top of that, the other injuries the Jets have, with Bryce Hall and Jamison Crowder both not practicing the last few days, that is separate from COVID.
Holy hell. Who the hell is he going to be throwing to? Just Cole, Mims, Barrios, I guess. This is not good at all. And then on top of that, he might be missing his two guards. So who's going to be? Who's Van Roten and Feeney? Probably. I'm guessing. This has disaster written all over it. Especially because the Jaguars are actually getting healthy on their end. Right, they've got Josh Allen coming back. They're the best pass rusher. They've got things going for them, while we have absolutely nothing.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is speechless, quite honestly, is where I'm at right now.
I have a question. Would you say sit Zach? Is this even good experience for him?
You know, I might be in the minority here, and I will gladly accept that I will be in the minority here. You never sit him. All experience is good experience. This is the NFL. Players miss time all the time. It's next man up mentality. If you're going to be the quarterback, the savior that's going to drag this team out of the basement that they've been in for so long, it shouldn't matter who you got around you. Go play. Go see what you got. And if, again, I'm probably in the minority there, and I'll be gladly admit that. But to me, this is the NFL. This is your job. Everybody in this building, it's their job. The guys that are the backups, they don't just get paid to be backups and then come in and then that's it. And oh, well, the backup's in. These guys got jobs too. They're expected to perform. The next man up mentality is real, especially in the NFL for the players themselves. So to me, no, I'm not sitting Zach. I'm playing him. I'm getting him the experience. I'm seeing if he can be the guy that leads the team and makes the players around him better.
Yeah, we can only hope. I don't know if he's at that point yet where he's going to make the players around him better. The Brady effect, if you will. I don't think he's there yet. But he needs to be able to find some kind of rhythm. Even with the people he has, and he was able to find it last week a little bit while it was still scripted, but he needs to do it again. So show us that he can still stay on schedule in this offense. And you know what? I would be happy if he can just take care of the ball still. What's it been? 3 games now without an interception? So it's, I think, so. Yeah. He's been taking care of the ball a lot better as of late, minus that fumble, of course. But
I don't put that on him.
I won't put that on him so much. So if you can continue that, take care of the ball, and just do what he's able to do, take what the defense gives him. This is a really bad team in the Jaguars. All right, so
yeah,
I don't want to say that we're going to be blown out here. So I think we still have a decent chance of looking like a credible NFL team, but he's just got to show what he can, and I'll be happy with that in this game because there's not a lot to look forward to.
No, there really isn't. I'll be honest with you, Matt. Looking at this situationally, how I view it, and again, feel free to have myself in the minority here. I'll be alone on this hill, and that's fine. But I'm looking at this game from a philosophical standpoint. Look at where these two teams are. You have two teams that are both rebuilding. You have two teams that are both have been towards the bottom of the barrel of the league for a handful of years. And you look at where the Jets are, COVID issues withstanding. They're in the first year of Robert Saleh's tenure. A lot of people believe that Robert Saleh is the future of this team and that things are going in the right direction. I don't think either of us disagree with that. I think that generally the locker room is in pretty good standings, that players fight for each other, that they're not pointing fingers, that the coaching staff seems unified. And this is a team that is young, that's building, that is working its way out from the bottom, but is progressing. And then you look at the Jaguars and you have a team that was in complete and total disarray. You have a team that was absolutely gutted by Urban Meyer, where his tenure in Jacksonville was so toxic and so destructive that the team is completely and totally fallen apart. And they had to fire him mid-season for a multitude of reasons that would have been deserving so before, but the media pressure eventually became too much for Shad Khan, and he had to fire him mid-season. That ripples through your team. That is not something that just goes away because Urban Meyer is not in the building anymore. That matters. This guy's been coaching the team the entirety of the season and for months before that in training camp, et cetera. There are habits that these players have learned that they've been coached that are bad habits that are going to take time to get out of. It's why the Jaguars record is what it is right now. And it's no different than when Adam Gase coached the Jets, where you have players that go and they play under Adam Gase and they were good players before, and then they play under him and then they're bad players. And they don't really ever get better, even if some of them get away from Gase and improve. Some of them don't ever get to the form they were before that he got coached by them. It's the same type of deal with Urban Meyer and the Jaguars. So when I'm looking at it from this perspective is, quite honestly, Matt, I don't care who the Jets have on the COVID list. I don't care how many players are going to be out. This is a home game. This is in New York. This is Robert Saleh's Jets against formerly Urban Meyer's Jacksonville Jaguars, who are a bottom feeder. If you're going to be a team that's going to crawl out of the bottom, if you're going to be a team that's going to be competitive and not be the same old Jets, you got to beat the Jags. You got to go out there and you got to be very clearly the better team, regardless of who's missing with COVID. So my expectation for them is a win. My expectation for them is to go out and be the better team, because even with all the players out, I still think the Jets are the better team. I think they're the better coach team. I think they're more cohesive. I think that they have more in place together to pull out a win, especially when you're dealing with adversity. And quite honestly, if this team can't look like the better team against the Jaguars, then I think we got bigger problems than our COVID issues.
That's true. I mean, the problem is that I feel like we're always thinking about the Jets in a philosophical sense, not really in a realism sense, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's what Vitor's for.
Exactly. And it's disappointing. And you're right, just win. And that sort of brings me to sort of a debate that's been going on, of course, on Twitter and throughout the Jets ethos is that should we be rooting for them to win or should we be rooting for the draft picks? I am in the camp where I just want to win. I don't care about where we end up picking because there's so many unknowns. We don't know who in front of us is going to be taking who. We don't know if the players that everybody wants in those top 2 spots are going to pan out. There's so much we just don't know. And I don't like, the thought process of, well, how can you want us to win when there's so much on the line? I'm like, I don't like that because even still, if I'm rooting for them to win, it doesn't matter. They're going to win or lose no matter what. So we don't have an effect on the game. So and if you draft correctly, if you do your scouting, if you do your job and you find the players that fit this team the best, it doesn't matter where you pick. You can grab guys that can help this team no matter where they are. And we've seen that. We've seen Douglas bring in players that have helped this team from all over the place, whether it's Hall in the 5th round coming off of his injury, whether it's Huff and Guidry in being undrafted free agent.
Quincy Williams off the waiver wire.
Quincy Williams. These players weren't first-round picks in the top 5. So we can rest assured that no matter where we're picking, we can pick up guys that will help this team win. So I wouldn't worry too much about winning.
Yeah, I am 100% in agreement with you. I think this is a good segment to end on, which is, like you said, tank or not to tank. That, quite frankly, tanking isn't real. I'm going to really, for those that think it is, there are teams and general managers that may go out of their way to be in a rebuild, that may know that they're entering the process of a rebuild and you have to tear things down to build things back up. That's team building. That's roster management. There isn't a coach or a player in the NFL that actually tanks. There isn't a coach or a player in the NFL that is intentionally going to play poorly with the intent of losing a game for a better draft pick. It's not real. It doesn't happen because the NFL is a business. And while the NFL is a business for the teams and that they can very quickly cut a player, move on from a player, what have you done lately type of league, it's also a business for the players. And for the players' standpoint, every time they go out on that field is a job interview. Every time they go out on the field, they're putting out tape for the 31 other teams in the league that maybe they get traded for. Maybe they get signed in the offseason. If you're one of these guys that's a veteran player on the Jets that likely isn't going to be back next year, you're not going to go out and lose intentionally. You're going to be gone. What is that going to help you? You're not going to improve the team. You're not going to be on this team that's going to get better because you got the worst draft pick. You're going to be cut. And you're going to be looking for your next team. You're going to hope that you have enough good tape that another team signs you. So tanking in general, it doesn't exist. And it's kind of what you said right at the end there is that, what we choose to root for or not root for is not going to matter at the end of the day. That is 100% what I want everyone to take away from this. Is that if you personally hope that they lose against the Jaguars and get a better draft pick, you have every right to hope that they do that. If you want them to win, like me and Matt do, because you want them to learn how to win, you always want to be rooting for improvement. You want to be the better team and know that it takes wins like these that you have to stack enough times to get good at winning to where you can beat better teams, then root for the win. But at the end of the day, that's not going to matter. The Jets themselves are not going to go out and lose this game on purpose. They're not. and they shouldn't, quite honestly. They really, really shouldn't. So I really hope that what we see, not only this next week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but over the last couple of weeks, draft pick be damned, I want to see improvement. I want to see competitive play. I want to see the players fighting. I want to see guys, even though they're not going to be playing for anything in particular, this because they have opportunities to play spoilers. I was talking with my co-host Lamont Jordan on Believe in Jets this morning, and he was talking about as a player where in his 3 of the 4 years with the Jets, they made the playoffs, and then he never made the playoffs the rest of his career. And all the other times when he was on teams that weren't making the playoffs, and you get towards the end of the season and you're playing teams that are trying to make the playoffs, you want to play spoiler. You get that much more excited to go out there and beat them and say, well, you're stuck here. You're not going to the playoffs either. Come and sit down on the couch with us. You get hyped up to go and put out a quality product as a player. And so I'm hoping that over these last 3 weeks after the Jags game, Jets have Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills, 2 teams that are going to be fighting for their playoff lives. Go out and be competitive. Go out, put on a good product. Don't turn down, don't quit, just fight. And I think that at this point in the year, with the injuries and all the adversity that the Jets have dealt with from top to bottom, just don't stop fighting.